Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I am doing books that I would recommend people read if they want to get into reading. Now I have a couple of different books I think people should read that are just quick, easy, fun and just enjoyable, and they're very easy books for you to digest. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my romance recs and then I'll move on to my fantasy recommendations of ones that you should read. So if you want to get into reading romance books, the first series I would recommend is the Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy. This is a very quick, short, easy series to read. All of the books are on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited you can read them on there. They also have box sets for them in the works. I'm not sure if they still do, but they did recently, and also you can get them off Amazon. They are just such good, easy, fun reads. They're all interconnected standalones, so you don't have to read them in order. I would personally recommend you do read them in order, just because if you don't then there's certain things you won't understand from the previous books. But I just absolutely adore this series. So I've just finished reading the first like 4 books, the main ones, and then it goes to the Legacy, and also the Briar You series is connected with it. I'm doing the recommended reading order of reading the Briar You series before you go back to read the Legacy, just because apparently there's spoilers. But you know, this series, each book follows a different couple. So this one follows Hannah and Garrett. Book 2 follows Logan and Grace. Book 3 follows Ali and Dean, and then book 4 follows Sabrina and Tucker. And they're so fun. They're like little like steamy romances. They're very easy to digest. There's nothing complicated about them, and it just kind of follows a friendship group of guys who are finding their love interests and stuff, and their love stories, and it's all just so cute, and I absolutely adore it. And I think it's definitely one that if people want to get into romance, they should definitely read this. So if you want a bit more YA and you don't want spice in your book, and you like want something that is really easy to digest, I would definitely recommend the Heartstopper comic series. Now you can fight me saying that comics aren't reading. Yes they are. If there is words on the page, it's reading. Even if you're just reading the freaking pamphlet of a pack of paracetamol, it's still fucking reading. So get over yourself before you come in my comments. But yeah, no, this series is so quick, it's so easy to read. I've read this entire series more than once. It's my comfort series. I'm about to do a reread of this series soon, and I will be filming a video of me rereading them, and they're just such good books. There's also a TV show, as you can see from the fucking sticker that doesn't come off. Anyway, I have a collection. I have 3 copies of the first comic. That is how obsessed I am with this series. But it's a very cute LGBTQ romance between Nick and Charlie. They all go to an all-boys school, and it's their story of basically them getting into a relationship, Nick discovering who he is. I would say look up your trigger warnings, because there is a couple of triggering things in the later comics. And also it does mention bullying in this comic, so if that's something you like then I wouldn't recommend reading it. And then there's also a couple of novellas. So there is This Winter and Nick and Charlie, which also followed this couple. And yeah, no, they're so good. I absolutely love this series, and it's something that's very easy to read to get you into romance, and it has such amazing representation for mental health and LGBTQ. Another romance book that I think people should read is Icebreaker. It's just so easy to read. It's so fun. This one is very spicy, so like I said, if you don't like spice in your books, I don't think you would like this one. But it's just so fun, and it's so enjoyable and quick to read. I read this in like 2 days, and I just found it so... all the characters were so lovable, apart from one, but you're not supposed to like him. He's the villain of the story. It's just so easy to get into. It's quick. It's just a fun time, and you're going to enjoy yourself when you read it, because it's nothing too complex or anything. It's just a guy and a girl meeting, forming a bond, forming a friendship, and falling in love. And if you want to get into reading romance, I would say you should definitely read this one. Then the final one I'm going to recommend for the romance category is 1% of You by Michelle Gross. Now this one was recommended to me by one of my bookish besties, Em. I love her lots. In one of my other videos that I literally just filmed, she's mentioned like 6 times it's fine. Me and Em have very similar tastes in books, and every time she recommends me a book I know I'm going to love it. And if you want a quick, fun romance, read this one. It's got Grumpy Sunshine, it's got single mum, the single mum trope, and the kids are cute and not annoying and they're fun. The characters are amazing, their love story is amazing. It's just so good. And like, I normally hate covers with real people on. I accept it for this book because I love it so goddamn much. I read this in one sitting. I read it for a video that I did last year. This was before me and Em were actually even friends. Oh my god, that feels so long ago now. I read this last year because I did a video of reading my favourite BookTokers favourite books, and she gave me this one. It's weird to me now that at that time she was just one of my favourite BookTokers and now she's one of my favourite people in the world. But anyway, no, this is just such an incredible book. I think anyone would adore this book. It's just so fun and easy to read, and I would definitely say if you want a fun and easy romance, pick up this one because it's just so good and the characters are so lovable. Okay, so if you're not looking for romance recommendations, but you want to maybe look into getting into reading fantasy, the first series I would recommend is the Lightlark series by Alex Aster. This book series, I love it so much. I gave both of these 5 stars. They're so good, they're so fun. I love the characters. It's not a lot of world building. It's a very easy it's more romantic. It's not like just full fantasy, but it is a fantasy series. I tend to read a lot. My fantasy series that I read are more romance based ones. But yeah, no, I would definitely say read this series if you want an easy, fun, quick fantasy series to get into. The characters are great, the story is so easy to read, there's not a lot of world building, and the world building that you do get isn't shoved down your throat from the get-go. You slowly learn about it as you read the books. This is just the first 2. Book 3 comes out later this year. I'll put the exact release date here for book 3. But yeah, no, it's just such an easy series to get into. I've read both of these this year. I read Lightlark in January, and then I read Nightbane, I think 2 months ago now. But yeah, no, it's just so good, so fun, so easy, and just a right enjoyable time. Next for Fantasy Recs, I think everyone saw this one coming. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. This series I think is so good and it's so fun, and I love all the characters. I read this entire series at the start of this year. Now, before the start of this year, I was not a fantasy girl. I was a hardcore romance girl. And ever since this year started, I've read more fantasy this year than I've ever read before. I read the entire of the ACOTAR series, and I've read the first 3 books in the Throne of Glass series. And phenomenal. I love it so much. The characters are amazing. It's a very good book series to read. I think it's quite easy to get into. If you want to read Sarah J Maas's books, I would definitely say you should definitely read the ACOTAR series first before you move on to Throne of Glass, because Throne of Glass is a lot more fantasy heavy, and it's a lot more like on the political side of fantasy, whereas this one is definitely more romantic and it has a lot heavier aspects on the romance than just the fantasy world. But yeah, no, just amazing series, so fun. I would definitely recommend. Does have spice, so if that's not your thing, fine. Sorry about that noise, those are my guinea pigs. But yeah, no, definitely such a good series to get into. The next fantasy series that I would recommend is the Lost Kingdom Saga series by Laura Carter. This one is one that is still being published, so if you don't like waiting around for books to come out, then maybe don't go for this one. But this series came out, the first book came out last year. Book 2 has just come out. I have not read book 2 yet, but I know it's going to be really good. And I am looking forward to it. But you know, I read this last year and I absolutely adored it. It's a very easy fantasy series to get into. There's not any spice, and there's like, I think there's literally 1 spice scene and it's not even like detailed, so it's very much like there's not spice really. So yeah, no, I would say it's very easy to read. It's a very quick book to read. there's not a lot of world building. There's actually not hardly any world building there, so it's very much character based. So if you prefer character based stories instead of like a lot of world building, then I would definitely say to read this one. It's fun, it's easy, and I think you're just having a really enjoyable time when you are reading it. Okay, the final book that I'm going to recommend for this video is one that I read recently, and that is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. Now this, if you're not a big fantasy reader, this is definitely a good one to pick up. It's very quick, it's very fun, it's very easy to read. There's not any world building because it's kind of basically set in like, I guess you would say like 1800s London. And so like it's not set in like a real fantasy proper fantasy world. It has witches, it has a magic system I've not seen like any other magic system. It has a fun little romance, and it's so good. I really enjoyed it, and I think that people would enjoy it as well. So if you want just like a very simple, easy to read fantasy, I would definitely say pick up The Crimson Moth just because it's so good. This is not a complete series, it's a duology. The second book does not come out until February of next year. So if you don't, like I said with Secrets of the Dead, if you don't like incomplete series, then I wouldn't recommend this book. But if you don't mind, then this is just certainly a good book that I think people should pick up and read. Okay, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe because it gets my videos out onto the YouTube algorithm, and I am on a mission to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you next time.